My friend is ignoring my financial situation, so I might skip her wedding.
That's messed up. Your friend should give you money.
Anyway, I, 26 female, have a good friend, Sally, 27 female, who's getting married this year, and I'm super happy for her. Ironically, she actually got engaged the same night my 4-year relationship ended, so it was a very emotional night, but I can laugh about it now.
That's rude.
By the way, this comes from user Informal Risk 7501, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, anyway, I never pictured her as one to go bridezilla, so to speak, and for the most part, I was right. She's typically a laid-back person who doesn't stress about details too much and just wants to be happy and get married to her man. Until it came to the bachelorette party. Now, call me old-fashioned, but I always thought that bachelorette parties were just one nights with the girlies. But I have noticed a trend with women thinking they need to have a week-long or extended weekends for their party, and as it turns out, that's exactly what Sally wanted. She had created a group chat with all of her bridesmaids, and without asking any of us for their opinion, informed us that we would be taking a 4-day trip Thursday through Sunday to a place 2 states away. Now, a little context about me. I'm a planner and a budgeter like hardcore. I'm high-functioning autistic and I despise doing absolutely anything without some sort of plan, and I kind of freak out inside whenever something happens to those plans that are out of my control. I'm getting better at it, but depending on who or what disrupts those plans, I kind of lose my marbles. I also never make any plans, be that as small as a single night out to eat or an entire vacation away from home, without budgeting the heck out of it first. I've made it this far in life without going into any debt, and I don't plan on changing that anytime soon, especially for a bachelorette trip. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's rewind.
Yeah.
Back to when Sally was first spitballing ideas for a bachelorette trip during her dress fitting, although I do now feel... Did you have something to say there?
She's like, I take into consideration how this is going to look at my taxes.
I'm a budget
What can I write
forward
off?
beauty.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Good to know.
I came up with that on the spot. Somebody give me a gold star. Back when Sally was first spitballing ideas for a bachelorette trip during her dress fitting, I had made the comment that I would need to be one of the drivers because I get car sick incredibly easily if I'm not the one driving. So between the 6 of us, we decided that I and Bridget would be the drivers and take our own vehicles. I was totally cool with that. Put that info in your pocket because we'll come back to that later. Sally had 2 different states that she kept bouncing back and forth between deciding to go to, and she was also having a hard time picking dates for the trip. I was sitting back in the chat watching all the others get hyped and encourage her on which decisions to make. Meanwhile, I was that person, without being ignorant, that reminded Sally that she should probably pick a later date to go so that way we all had time to save up money for the trip. Unbeknownst to me, making plans with this woman would be like getting blood out of a stone.
What?
Probably impossible.
More like getting a sword out of a stone.
Well,
Am
you
I
can
right?
do that if you're the one true king.
Yeah,
of
and OP
England.
sounds like not the one true king.
Did you also see that bit on... Never mind.
Okay.
Holy cannoli. Long story short, she finally decided what dates and which state she wanted us all to go to. She chose the closer option of the 2 states, and the date she picked was only 2 months away at the time of her decision. Okay, I guess I can try to make that work financially as long as we work out a budget. Well, even with the dates and place finally picked out, Sally still dragged her feet on booking an Airbnb. She had found one that everyone really liked, but waited on booking it because nobody had the money to pitch in on it yet. We had all agreed that one person would book the Airbnb and we would all give them our share of the split cost. She was also throwing out ideas on what we could possibly do once we got down there, but nothing was ever set in stone at this point except for the sword. All expensive ideas, I might add. And all in the meantime, I was starting to go a little crazy at the lack of preparedness that was beginning to unfold. This is a whole month later at this point, and I had a feeling it would only get worse in the future. I saw it coming like a 2-ton wrecking ball, but had no idea how bad it was actually going to get. Side note, Sally has also claimed in the past that she's on the spectrum, so I personally have no idea how she could be so lax about not having things totally planned way in advance, but perhaps that's just me.
I feel like
Bingo.
you guys are on the opposite side of the spectrum, you know?
It's like being on the spectrum is not like a universally equal experience.
Exactly. I feel like OP may, like, this is, you know, an assumption, but may be on the spectrum, but like...
No, she said she is.
But I think that they're both have maybe different experiences.
Yeah, of course.
And yeah, obviously. And so OP's like, well, I'm on the spectrum and she's on the spectrum. So obviously we should be thinking about this exactly the same. Whereas, she might have like ADHD and it's a different, has trouble planning things or like.
The thing that's rubbing me wrong about the story right now is that OP's speaking as if it's like, well, my perspective and my experience should be the one that we base everything off.
Yeah.
Like you're watching somebody do something and you're like, but I would do it this way.
Yeah.
So that way's wrong.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't do it that way. But really, it's just more like, well, that's just how they're doing
different. It's just
so far. In the meantime, I have been venting my frustrations about this whole trip to my mom, my cousin Rose, who is also my coworker, Jose, that's the guy I'm talking to, who's also Sally's mutual friend, and Angel, my best friend, and another mutual friend with Sally. The reason I chose these four to pour out my feelings to is because I know I can talk to my mom about literally anything. Rose, my cousin, is a very no BS, tell it how it is, opinionated person, and both Jose and Angel know Sally personally and are both involved with the upcoming wedding. Jose's a groomsman and Angel is the photographer. My point is, I have four people who have known how badly I've been stressing financially and planning-wise about this trip for a while now. Fast forward to the end of this month, and things are about to get messy, and we're going to do some time skipping around, so try to keep up. Because Sally had waited too long to book the Airbnb, it went way up in price. She was upset about that, but found out that by just getting rid of one day, then it was affordable again. Except everyone else already put in their vacation requests for those weekdays to take off at work. So now what do? Her solution, I kid you not, was for us to drive down on Thursday as planned and just sleep in our cars somewhere. My jaw hit the basement when I read those words in the chat.
That's silly, but also like really easy solution. Just go later.
Yeah, or just go the next day and enjoy a day off.
Enjoy it. Or you can call in your work and say like, hey, I can actually work. I don't know, like enjoy the day off. Like you still get the day off.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a really easy solution. Just don't go.
I already called out
that
day. Crippling anxiety and fear of big cities aside, I'm also one of those women who listens to and watches crime shows and podcasts religiously. Horror is also my favorite genre, so there's that too. I don't know about the others, but I personally would get approximately 0 amounts of sleep because I would feel a motherly protection or paranoia over the other girls, and my head would be on a swivel all night long, keeping an eye out for both cops who could ask us to leave and creepers that just do be creeping. Fortunately, this state does accept my home state's concealed carry license, so I would at least have that peace of mind. But overall, it's not reassuring enough for me to be okay with this plan. I later got the chance to hang out with Sally one-on-one and gently brought up the fact that I'm not at all comfortable with the idea of us all sleeping in cars. For safety?
I think OP is taking the correct path of talking to her.
Yes, it's true. Every story we have, one of the best solutions to every problem is just clear communication without, edits. I offered instead the idea that we all spend the first night in our home state at somebody's place and we just hang out and plan the weekend together. It would give us some bonding time as well. I'm not sure about the other bridesmaids, but I'm the newest member to this group and have met none of these girls except one prior to becoming bridesmaids. She said she'd think about it, but the conversation was quickly dropped because we were in the middle of doing stuff. This option was never brought up in the group chat, although she did finally find and book an Airbnb earlier this week for all 4 nights, so we're good there now. No sleeping in cars. Sometime a few days ago, Sally reached out to me and Angel in our own group chat absolutely fuming because Bridget's vacation request for the trip was denied due to her workplace being so short-staffed. Sally sent us the screenshot of Bridget's message. She offered to drive down as soon as she can Friday after her shift and spend the rest of the weekend with us. She still offered to pay her full share of the Airbnb cost so we wouldn't have to worry about that. Apparently, Bridget had also already talked to another bridesmaid, Annie, about this situation, and Annie offered to stay behind and ride down with Bridget so she wasn't making the long drive alone. Like I said, Sally was fuming over this. She didn't show us what her response to Bridget's text was, but she did express that not having all members there the whole time made the trip pointless to her. Please remember that detail, and that Bridget had already missed a lot of opportunities to spend time with Sally, and it was starting to piss her off. Angel and I both sent our I'm sorries and I don't know what to say, and the convo just kind of dropped after that. So I have no clue what or if any solution was ever made regarding this. Now, last week, Sally had briefly tossed the idea of, and again, I'm trying to be vague, so bear with me here, going to a really expensive horse race and a huge boat tour. She had only brought it up 2 or 3 times in the entire 3 months of planning, but never once said anything about it being set in stone in the group chat. These are pricey ticket events. So I'm sitting there trying desperately to rack my brain around how I could possibly afford new tires on my car. I need them to pass inspection before driving down. My share of the Airbnb costs, tickets for the race, tickets for the boat tour, and not to mention the cost of meals and gas for driving my car down and back.
The thing is, like, you just have to tell her that.
Yeah, you just gotta say it's
like,
too much.
It feels scary and it feels like you're causing problems. And if she takes it that way, that's on her. But you just have to say, hey, I can only budget this amount. And that's just the way it has to be. And if you guys want to do any of that, you're welcome to. But this is all I can afford.
Yeah.
And that's it. And if she gets mad, that's on her.
Ooh, you can't be mad I'm broke.
Oh.
That's not cool. Why you being mad that I can't afford that? Dang. Come on, man. Some more context about me. I live alone in a 1-bedroom apartment. The only reason I'm even able to live alone in the first place is because I have a job that pays decently. I don't exactly live paycheck to paycheck. I am able to squirrel away a few dollars into my savings every month, but I still heavily rely on each paycheck that comes in. I have my head above the water, but it wouldn't take much to make me start to sputter. Think lower middle class, I suppose. I was planning on using my tax returns to help fund this trip, even though I could really use it for other things instead. I have no clue what the financial situation is for the other bridesmaids. All I know is that 2 of them are married, so they have at least one other income in their household. And for the other 2, I don't know if they still live with their parents, if they have roommates, if they live alone, whatever. But the point is that I do know my financial situation. And I also know that Sally has complained more than once in our friend group that she doesn't have much money and her fiance doesn't either. I don't know who's all helping Sally and her fiance with wedding funds. I just know that her parents bought her dress. So I especially don't know where she's getting all this money for her bachelorette trip. I've even offered to help her make a budget plan just with daily life because she's admitted to me that she has a spending problem. Shocker. And she said no because it's just too hard for her. I have helped other friends in the past to make budgets whenever they've reached out to me, and it does help. Budgets are amazing things, people. What made me snap, I received a text from Angel, who is not in the bridesmaid chat, giving a comment about how expensive this trip is going to be. I replied, why? What's Sally saying now? And Angel informed me that based on her texts, Sally is indeed planning on going to the horse race. I was already stressing about the overall cost of this trip, but once I Googled how much a ticket to the race actually costs, I just about passed out. There was absolutely no way on earth that I was going to be able to afford one of those tickets on top of every frickin' thing else. I took a brief pause before I texted Sally directly and said, girly.
Good. Girly.
Girly.
Tell her, girly.
I love you, but I cannot afford the expensive horse race at all. I can barely afford this trip. If y'all really want to go, then by all means go, but I'll have to hang back for that event. Her response to me hurt. She sends back, yeah, you don't have to go to everything. You can hang back and chill at the Airbnb. Why did that hurt? That seemed like the response.
Okay, like I understand what OP wanted here from that, what she sent was to receive like, oh my God, you're right. Like you can't afford it. So we're going to do something else. And I think that's what she wanted, and which is valid to want, but
comes from a very human place.
Yeah,
for
it
sure.
comes from a very human place. But like that text is kind of just agreeing to what you said.
Yeah. You're like, I can't do that. I'm going to have to hang back. Sorry. She goes, oh yeah, don't worry about it. You don't have to do that.
Like it doesn't
If you can't afford that, you don't have to.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with it. Though I understand that you feel hurt that like she's not taking into consideration your money.
But I think OP's not taking into consideration that this is literally her bachelorette trip.
No, exactly. It's like
so she can kind of plan
do
or
whatever she wants, and if she wants to spend her money that way, like you can say no to whatever you want, and she needs to respect that. But it's also like, she's gonna kind of plan this however she wants.
Yeah. I was very taken aback at her nonchalant response, considering her earlier freak out over Bridget and Annie possibly missing out on half the weekend. I thought she wanted everybody there at all times. So when I reiterated that I couldn't go, she just told me, it's okay, don't feel bummed. Not gonna lie, this is the moment where I got really ticked off. I'm not bummed that I can't go to the race with everybody. I'm mad that it seemed like Sally has never once considered other people's money while planning this whole trip. I'm even more annoyed that if she is making these expensive plans set in in stone, then why did I have to hear it from somebody who's not even part of the bridesmaid chat? Why is this not being discussed in said chat? Are the other bridesmaids aware that this is the plan? Am I the only one in the dark? I don't know. Not to mention the fact that my car is one of the vehicles going down, which I'm putting money into before we even go, and she's perfectly fine with just letting me sit at the Airbnb by myself for God only knows how many hours while the rest of them attend something that not everybody can afford. I'm just really hurt and angry at her, and I feel as though all of my stress and bottled up emotions are finally at a boiling point. I've been trying so hard to be so chill and accommodating because she's the bride and it's her trip, yada yada, but frankly, her it's no big deal attitude to me saying I can't afford something major on this trip has really just made me not want to go at all anymore. I turned to my 4 people to vent my frustration about this, and their general consensus was this. Mom feels very bad for me and doesn't like how Sally seems to be treating everybody's money, including her own, with this trip. She's very adamant that I sit Sally down in person and tell her exactly how I'm feeling about this whole thing. I do plan on talking to her. I just have absolutely no idea how to approach her about this because I'm a people pleaser. And I'm worried that me saying I don't want to go at all anymore in combination with the whole Bridget and Annie thing will be her breaking point. I love Sally despite all of this, and I consider her one of my closest friends, so I don't want to shatter her over this. It would destroy me. My cousin Rose thinks that Sally's insane for demanding all of this money from everyone and has hated the whole trip from the start. She's baffled how Sally expects anyone, including herself, to pay for all of this when we are already buying our own dresses, shoes, hair, accessories, etc. for the wedding this year. Remember, we all live in a low-income area. And she's flat out pissed at Sally for having the audacity to be okay with one of the vehicle drivers just sitting alone for hours while the others go off and have fun. She's really pushing me to just not go at all. Angel feels torn because she loves both Sally and me and sees both sides, but overall agrees with me that she's being careless with money and it doesn't seem fair to just let me sit out on something that's so important to Sally. She's also really confused about Sally saying no big deal, considering her Bridget and Annie freak out.
But also, I don't know.
But those are two different scenarios.
It's like the scenario with Bridget and Annie is that Sally said, hey, here's the dates that we're going, can everyone get off, and then found out last minute that Bridget couldn't do that, and then Annie was like, also I'm not coming the first day, and so it was like this whole thing. Whereas OP, like, you're gonna be there, it's just like you're not gonna be going to one event. I think they're different things.
It's true.
Oh.
It is different events.
Yeah.
She also agrees with me that Sally needs to be more clear about all of this in the bridesmaids chat because this is an expensive itinerary and Sally should be doing her best to make sure that everyone knows what's being expected of them. She wants me to talk to Sally about it next time I see her and told me that she can be the mediator if Sally or I start to get too upset while talking. She's neither for nor against me going on the trip. She's just very pro talking to Sally about it.
Yes.
Hey, look, it's us. That's us.
That's us right there.
Jose has been such a blessing in my life, and I knew he would be my voice of reason in this. When he found out what Sally had said to me, he immediately called me and listened to my angry rant over the phone.
She just said no worries.
After I eventually ran out of breath, he calmly told me that the amount of stress this trip has been causing me is probably not going to be worth it. He knows I love Sally and want her to be happy, but it would be foolish of me to risk putting myself in any sort of debt for a trip that I don't want to go on and might not even enjoy at this point. His advice was something like this. Let's say you're able to gather up your tax return, credit card, and take money out of your savings to go on this trip. So what happens after you come back home? You now have a credit card to pay off, you have no money in your savings to fall back on, and you still have all your bills that don't care about your getaway. How long is it going to take you to build your savings back up? How long will it take to pay off your credit card? What about these other extra things going on in your life that you need to pay for that are actually important? I thought about it for a bit and just sighed that I wasn't sure what to do. Because I don't want to be Sally's possible breaking point. And he told me, I think you know what you need to do. Pray about it and then talk to her next time you see her. And I and Angel will be right there if you need anything. So yeah, his vote is also not to go. That's not true. It sounded like
no, it sounded like talk to Sally.
Yeah, it sounded like another vote for talk to Sally.
Yeah.
And then if you don't want to go, don't go.
Yeah, that didn't feel like the consensus on that.
So am I the a-hole for considering not going on this bachelorette trip at all? The trip is scheduled to be the last weekend in April, so I have under a month to make my final decision. And there is an update. And we still have a large chunk of story left.
Dang, man.
But I wouldn't say you're being an a-hole. No. It's just more of like
no a-holery has really happened yet.
You're in an emotional state.
Yeah, like OP is feeling a lot of feelings valid and is searching comfort from other people, but the only thing that can fix anything is talking to Sally. Like that at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like no one has been the a-hole yet.
Yes, no one
in my opinion. I don't even think that Sally's really been the a-hole. I think that she's like, we're gonna do this horse race, and I'm gonna like do this all, and I want everyone there.
Yeah, it's a bachelorette. It's like, oh, and that's my last hurrah.
Has she been maybe a little bit bad at planning the trip? Yeah.
Yeah, this should have all been stuff that was planned out
absolutely.
at the beginning, months in advance.
Not, right before.
It's like when we went on our trip that we went up to Big Bear. It wasn't like we were like, we're gonna go to Big Bear and then we'll figure out what we do. It's like, no, we knew what we were doing already. Okay, update. So, I have an interesting update for y'all. After my post went up, I did see Sally in person, but didn't really have the chance to discuss the trip one-on-one with her while we were in a group. But at one point, she did approach me and tell me that the race tickets weren't that expensive, and at first I got upset, but she continued with, Bridget said she found them online for like $27 or something. So my first thought was she found some shady offhand website, and I thought, no thank you, but I just nodded and said, oh, okay. My mind was really distracted from the message from that night, so I wasn't really in the mindset to discuss the trip at the time. After really thinking about how I would phrase things, the next day I decided to message the bridesmaid chat and say, okay, so I want to make sure I budget correctly for this trip. What is the entire plan so far? Bridget responded and gave me the itinerary. So I then asked, okay, so how much are the race tickets? Sally told me you found them cheaper or something. She then sent me screenshots of the website selling tickets, and it was an actual official website, so no shady business there. While I'm sitting there in confusion, Bridget sends an additional text saying that it wasn't the actual race we were going to, it was just opening night with vendors, and we would see the horses practice. That's why it's so cheap. Well, that would have been nice to know in the first place.
Girl, you didn't ask any questions.
But why doesn't she know that? Like, why isn't there any communication about this stuff in the group chat?
No, absolutely. Like, that is a problem, but like, why is no one asking any questions?
Yeah, we just need to ask more questions.
There's just, I think the a-hole in the story is that none of them are communicating. Like, Sally and Bridget aren't putting any, like, why did OP not get the itinerary?
Yes.
That's my question. Why did OP not text like, hey, is this the right tickets that I'm looking at?
Right.
Where did you guys, these seem pretty pricey. Is this right?
Right. It's like
no one's communicating with each other.
Yeah. Right after all of that, another bridesmaid, Hope, messaged the chat and basically said that she also wasn't able to afford everything and would have to miss out on some stuff. I responded that I understood because I recently had to spend $300 on something unrelated to the trip, medical related, and I was having a hard time saving up as well. I immediately felt so happy that I wasn't the only one in this situation, and I sat back and waited for the conversation to continue. To try and summarize the long convo that followed, Bridget revealed to the group that she wasn't coming down until late Friday and that Annie would be riding with her. The others didn't know this yet.
What?
Sally offered to just cancel the race idea and have us just do a boat tour and museum combo thing. Bridget reiterated that her and Annie would only be available to do one of those things and asked if the race was off the table now. Sally said yes, if not everyone can afford both. Then Bridget reveals that Gigi, some person who I have and had no idea who Gigi is, wanted to drive down on Saturday and surprise Sally by visiting. So she needs to know for sure if they were doing the race or not. Sally knew nothing about this, obviously. Sally responds, she can still come, the location just might be different. Then Bridget offers to pay for Hope and be able to get to the race.
I can see OP screaming at this.
I'm
screaming at this now.
I am turning off notifications for the group chat.
Yeah, I'd be like, okay, let me know when you guys figure it out.
Yeah, I'm not investing this much into it and again, OP's on the spectrum, so like, I don't know OP's experience. But my perspective here would be like, as soon as I realize this is really upsetting me, I'm just stepping away from it.
Yeah.
These people are not planning it the way I would. Where are the details? Where's this? I'm shutting it down.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it in 3 hours, right?
Yeah. It's like, hey, can you let me know when you guys figure out what you're thinking, and I'll let you know if I can afford that.
Yeah. Bridget then adds, what do you want to do, Sally? This trip is what you want, so we'll figure it out. Sally says, it's for everyone. I'd much rather spend time with everyone and experience it with everyone. Bridget responds, yeah, I get that, but that's not what I'm asking. What events do you want to do? Sally decides she just wants the boat and museum combo and doesn't care about the race anymore, so it's decided. But then Hope comes in with a real humdinger here.
Hope, we just figured it out!
Says, wait. What if we just split groups? Those who want to do the race with Sally can go. And those who want to do the boat tour with Sally can go as well. In the meantime, you can just hang out at the Airbnb.
Hope.
I got super annoyed because the decision was just finally made. Sally says, I mean, that could work.
No.
Stop it.
Hope.
You say no. You say no, Hope. We just made the plan. Like, girl, didn't you just say you'd rather be with everyone? Anyway, the chat goes back and forth for a while, and it starts to look like we're doing the split plan before I finally chime in and say, okay, but what about the others in the meantime? We're on this trip for Sally, not us. There was a pause in the group for a while. Sally finally sends a big text basically saying that the race was officially off the table.
This is the most frustrating group text ever.
We've already done this twice now.
Twice.
We're just doing the boat tour and museum. She had no desire to go to the race anymore. I responded, I hope I wasn't the cause of that decision. And Sally said no, and that she had just been feeling for a while that she didn't want to go anymore. Then we discussed parking prices and stuff, and I sent everyone a general budget plan for everything. The cost of the Airbnb, each event, parking, food, gas, personal spending. I emphasized that it was a general budget plan and that they could change stuff if they wanted to, and gave the total per person this trip was going to cost. Sally got super excited and thanked me for giving us all a visual to help us save up. Shout out to the commenter on my original post who suggested that I do that. Now, Sally and I both attended a conference on Saturday and ended up spending one-on-one time together after it was over. It was very nice. At some point, we of course brought up the bachelorette party, and Sally informed me that she had been stressing out about it for a while because of Bridget. I guess Bridget was acting very controlling about the whole thing, despite not being able to attend until the next day. And Sally told me that she was really irritated with the whole Gigi surprise because Gigi was Bridget's friend and not Sally's. She told me that she had said to Bridget, she's coming for you, not me. Why doesn't she just ride down with you instead of Annie so that Annie can be here Thursday?
Such a great point, actually.
Yeah.
I feel bad. Honestly, okay, I understand that Sally's caused some and maybe many of the problems here. But,
everyone is a communal problem in this story.
Yeah,
everyone is an equal share of problem in this story, I feel.
Oh man, these people, yeah.
It's just there needed to be one person who's like the decider.
Yeah.
And it theoretically should have been Sally.
Theoretically, but unfortunately.
I think there's a lot of CPP in this story.
Yeah.
In case I forgot to mention this before, Annie is the maid of honor. I guess Bridget didn't like that, and they argued for a bit, but nothing was really resolved. Then Sally showed me a long text Bridget sent her shortly after we all agreed to not go to the race, and it basically was a super passive-aggressive text about how she wishes she would have known that they weren't going to the race in advance, so that way they could have scheduled the entire trip for a different weekend. Sally said she was sorry, but people already had those vacation days turned in, and it's not like we can predict the future. We didn't know we would end up not going. This is when Sally also confessed to me that she never wanted to go to the race in the first place, and it was Bridget's idea.
Oh, Sapipi so much.
No.
So much Sapipi.
No.
Stop being a people pleaser.
Get the pee-pee out of here.
Oh, man. Bridget is the a-hole of the story.
Ay, ay, ay. When I asked her why she didn't shut it down sooner, she told me that Bridget convinced her that it would be fun. But the more she thought about it, the more she didn't want to do it. Bridget keeps pushing Sally to just say what she wants, but every time she does, there's problems with Bridget. She said that there's been more than one time she's considered removing Bridget as a bridesmaid because she's done nothing but stress her out and make things about herself, while simultaneously always finding excuses to not hang out with Sally whenever she wants to see her. I feel so bad and gave Sally a hug because I had no idea she had been dealing with all of this behind the scenes.
Because you did not ask her.
Yes, sometimes we carry our burden silent. We all thought it was Sally, but really it's been Bridget all along.
Honestly, I didn't really think it was Sally.
Sally said that at Bridget's wedding, she was a total nightmare to deal with. And Sally almost walked out because she couldn't handle how nasty Bridget had been to everyone. She made a promise to herself that she wouldn't be a bride like Bridget. I apologized to Sally if I ever made her feel like she couldn't come to me about these things. And she started crying. She told me that it's not just Bridget causing her stress, but also her husband. The best man. Oh, okay, we're getting a lot of Sally's. We're digging into Sally now. And Sally's own mother, who's a textbook narcissist and a villain all her own, her fiance's mother and brother, and her fiance himself, is also just being an annoyance with things that aren't even wedding related. I held her while she cried it out, and I assured her that no matter what happens, she will always have her core friend group from the church, and that none of us will let her fight anything alone. It was a really sweet moment between us, and we both felt so much better after. And by the way, you'll feel so much better after you listen to full episodes with stories just like this on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. Search.
Okay, story time.
That's all you gotta do. Search.
Okay, story time.
Search it. Search it up. One more time.
Okay, story time.
That's all you gotta look up.
Very
and
easy.
you've got 53 days worth of stories to listen to.
Exactly. You're welcome.
We have a little bit more story here.
Let's run
Honestly, we all know the messages.
Communication.
Clear communication early can prevent a lot of strife in all relationships.
Very true. And especially in this one.
So, long story short, I decided I am going on the trip. At the end of the day, I want to be there for my friend Sally, and I need her to know that I will have her back throughout all of this craziness. She's had too many quote-unquote best friends in the past backstab her or just leave her, and I refuse to be even similar to those people. I will stand by my friend during her bachelorette and during her wedding, no matter how crazy or frustrating people get. Thanks again to everyone who offered genuine advice and encouraged me to talk to Sally.
Yes.
I feel even closer to her, and I'm back to being excited for the trip again.
And I think it's just like, this is a really great reminder that OP is saying now, like, oh, I never want to be like the friends who abandon her or like just like leave and, you know, don't support her on these things. And it's like, you were about to not go on this trip.
Yeah.
Before you even talk to her.
Like, I refuse. You're like, just hang out at the Airbnb?
Yeah.
Who do you think you
No
are?
worries?
Out there. No worries.
It's like
How
talk.
dare-
Even
But
when
again-
it seems
and-
hard, talk to your friends.
It's
talk to your
all just
people in your
miscommunications.
relationships. Yeah.
Sally's miscommunicating. Bridget's miscommunicating.
Yeah.
Frick, Annie's kind of I don't even know what Annie's
I don't
doing.
know what
Annie's the
Annie's
maid
up
of
to.
honor, but it's like, whatever, I'll just ride down the next day.
Yeah, which is weird. That was a
Very,
weird move.
very unclear communication.
Indeed, but that is the end of that story.
And the end of this episode.
We love you
And see you tomorrow.